to Jackson. I'd just been there, earlier in the month. And he said, well, we can't go to Jackson. I said, why? He said, the weather. Weather's too bad down that way. And who's in control of the weather? And he said, so we can't go there. Where do you want to go, Paducah? I said, well, if we got time, let's go to St. Thomas West in Nashville. He said, we got time. Buckle up. I said, buddy, you got me strapped in right now. I think I'm all right, other than a parachute, And so we got there. And I get into the ER there, and they had already started on a drip of some kind of a drug. And when the doctor came in, he said, that's the right medicine. He said, so those guys on the helicopter, they did you a favor because that's the right stuff. But he said, let's do 7 on that drip. And everybody in the room, which is about 7 other people, said, 5 is what we normally do. And it's on 5. He said, did y'all hear what I said, though? Make it 7. And when he did, everything kind of calmed down, And it's calming down by the number of people that leave the room, Everybody left but one girl, one nurse. And so I felt like, well, maybe the crisis is over if they've left me with this one girl. And then she said, I have to go run and do something. I'll be right back. And I said, were you going to supper? And she said, we don't go to supper here in the ER. And I said, well, okay. But she was gone long enough to eat supper. But as soon as she left, Ann Alford came walking in. Ann Alford. And they hadn't had time to get there, but I just said, thank you, Lord, for that, And she said, they got you on a 7. They usually have you on a 5 on that medicine. So I think, well, she knows what she's talking about. And so she just goes over and gets my chart and starts reading through it. And she said, I see they got you with Dr. Farrig. He's the best. He's the best electrician. And then she told me all these things that were going to happen, all the tests that they would run. And then she told me the situation, what the problem was that I had. And she was very open about it, But to me, information is helpful, It eases my mind, information does. And then she said, now what he's going to do after all these tests, he'll put in one of those defibrillator pacemakers. It's a new thing, kind of, the double thing, and it's real sophisticated. And I said, maybe not. She said, maybe so. So it's okay, But I appreciated her being there, and she stayed there till Carol and Josh and Kate got there, And so, and another thing, that I had some friends of mine come and visit who were from Nashville, in that Nashville area. And one of the people that came was Joe Fitzpatrick. And I have heard Joe, who's the minister of music at First Baptist Nashville. Joe is a person who is gifted with prayer, And so they were about to leave, these guys, and I said, what about let's have a prayer meeting here? And they said, okay. I said, Joe, you pray. Was that not the most wonderful prayer? And, I wouldn't have got to hear that had I not been there. And it really touched me that I needed to pray better, I needed to be better at that, better at that visit with somebody, and to pray so that God is hearing it and comes into that place,